If you've played a shooter game set after the 90s before, chances are you've seen it. Bad guys have AKs, good guys have these. They're not too big, while not the most compact, though snug enough to fit with vehicle crews. Accurate with a middling cyclic rate of fire, they've been in nearly every major conflict for over 2 decades. A timeless design with several applications, from average GI to operations unknown. Accessible to most, and reloads in a slap. The M4A1. The story of the Armalite Model 15 is a saga of its own. Beginning in the late 1950s, when America was in need of a new standard service rifle. Designed by the now legendary Eugene Stoner, who is also responsible for the Stoner 63 series of weapons and the 7.62x51 NATO AR-10 series. The weapon was a revolution in ergonomics and ground-up design. Despite teething problems within early service during the Vietnam conflict, the service-designated M16 found a place in many soldiers' hearts. And the slick black design is almost unmistakable. At the same time, clandestine operators and other special forces were using a shortened version of the M16 called the CAR-15, most commonly associated with the Colt Commando. This series of rifles had a much shorter 10.5-inch or 11.5-inch barrels compared with the M16's 20-inch barrel in order to suit closer quarter situations and keep mobility and accessibility at an all-time high. As time progressed, the older models of the M16 were eventually phased out for the more modern A2 version. Around the same time, Colt also began working on replacing the CAR-15 and M3 grease gun with the XM177E2, later redesignated as the XM4 carbine. Further upgrades introduced the platform to a 14.5-inch barrel and the ability to fire M855 rounds accurately instead of 223 Remington. First entering full service in 1994 and seeing true combat when deployed in Kosovo during 1999, the M4 has since become the standard US military rifle, eventually replacing the M16 in most branches as a standard service weapon. Further developments include the M4A1, the full-auto select version over the earlier burst M4. Now that you're acquainted with your issue, it's about time you learn where you stand with it. In Final Forces, the M4A1 is with you right from the start. It's one of the first 5 primaries you get by simply starting the game, under the carbine section. Compared with the other assault rifle you get, the AK-12, it's easy to see that upon close inspection, the M4 is much better to use in a tight, close quarters situation. Both have the same magazine size and a similar recoil handling, but the AK-12 also has a unique feature that sets it much further apart from the M4, Hyperburst. Utilizing Hyperburst to its maximum makes the AK-12 the much faster killer, though the AK-12 still falls short to the M4's incredible reload time of 1.8 seconds wet and 2.3 seconds dry. The M4A1 also holds another somewhat hidden advantage, its ammo type. While the AK-12 and M4A1 share the same ammo pool, there are many more 5.56 guns in the game than the AK-12's 5.45 ammunition, so it's much easier to find candidates to pick up ammo from. The older version of the M4, the burst lock version unlocked at rank 14, also seems like an easy choice over the A1. It has a slightly faster reload speed, a further free kill range, and a much faster time to kill, thanks to its huge increase in RPM, sitting at 950 RPM per burst. The M4 also has slightly easier recoil to control, though the A1 is set apart by a comparative ease of use compared to the insanely punishing burst delay that the M4 has. The burst delay makes effective use of the burst M4 very limited compared to the M4A1's ability to simply hold left mouse and continue to fire. The M4A1 also has a further 5-shot kill than the burst M4. At the same time, there's another AR-based platform in the carbine section that gives the M4A1 a run for its money, the Honey Badger. While the Honey Badger does not have a free shot with default ammo, it has a much stronger 22 minimum damage, and therefore does not drop below a 5-shot minimum. And it also has the faster reload speed. The M4A1, however, is much easier to control and is much more accurate at range despite the extra shot to kill. The M4A1 also has the same ammo type advantage over the Honey Badger, making pickups easier. Though, with hollow point and long barrel on the Honey Badger, the free shot range is much increased to around 75 studs compared to the M4A1's meager 35, and it also 5 shots slightly further than the M4A1. The The M4A1 still retains its controllability and accuracy advantage, and with the extra weight added onto the Honey Badger, the M4A1 is much more mobile and has a faster aim and walk speeds. A good soldier should know their weapon from the inside, but let's take a look at some exterior modifications to edge your advantage a little further. For starters, add a compensator to alleviate some of the horizontal recoil that the M4A1 has, while also adding a folding grip to make camera recoil negligible. The addition of a blue laser makes aiming from the hip much better if you should ever find yourself in a situation to, though you can trade the blue laser for a full stock that trades some mobility for further recoil control. Use of a low magnification sight, such as the EOTech 552 or a reflex sight, should make acquiring targets a breeze. As for ammo, there's a dilemma. Using 2-3 may seem a smart choice for the additional 10 rounds, but an important thing to notice is that you cannot free shot with 2-3 Remington, neutralizing many advantages previously listed. Otherwise, it gives your weapon slightly lower recoil and a possible upper hand in a long-term firefight. In all, it's a fitting gun to be one of your first. Tried and true, sturdy and steady. A keen and consistent companion in a game where extremities are frequent. Always there whenever you may need it the most, with a friendly demeanor that's welcoming for newer players and steadfast for the old. This is your rifle, this is your gun. The M4A1.